What's up, everybody? In this video we're taking a look at the iPad with Retina display. Wait, he lied. We're taking a look at the new iPad. Well, you know, the sort of new, not new anymore, but was new at the time. That's the problem with calling it the new iPad. I mean, Apple just got lazy. This is the iPad between the iPad 2 and the iPad with Retina display. Or the iPad that also has a Retina display, just like this one. This is the iPad 3rd generation, and probably the best iPad in the line of iPads. So if you've ever wanted an iPad, this one is probably the best one, unless you're going to go buy one today, and then you might as well just get the new one. But the iPad 3rd generation, not called iPad 3 for whatever reason, is probably the best update to the iPad line ever. It featured things like a Retina display and a camera. Yeah, the iPad 2 had a camera, but it wasn't even worth calling it a camera. It was 0.7 megapixels, and nobody used it. This camera here on the iPad pretty much began people using tablets to take pictures and videos, and it took pretty good videos. It takes 1080p video with the 5 megapixel camera, so you really were getting a good shot when you looked like an idiot. Whereas the iPad 2, when you look stupid taking it, your videos look stupid in the outcome because they were just terrible. This is the first iPad with a good camera. But for whatever reason, they failed to update the one on the front, and the one on the front still sucks in the 3rd generation iPad. They didn't fix that one until the iPad with Retina display that's actually called iPad with Retina display. You can still buy the iPad with Retina display. The main difference is it has a lightning connector here, and it doesn't work with accessories like this one. Oops, it doesn't work with accessories like this one, and it costs a little bit less. Well, actually, at the time, it cost the same price as this one. For whatever reason, this one got discontinued in 6 months. This thing came out in March of 2012, and by, like, October, they came out with a brand new one that does, like, 2 things different. It was twice as fast, had a lightning connector, and the camera's different. Which is why I say this one is the best. Now, for whatever reason, they decided to remove cool features like the blur effect. You know, when you go into Notification Center on the iPhone, iPod, whatever, the iPad mini, they don't have that on this one, and the processor could totally handle it. This has the A5X chip, but you're saying that the iPad mini with the A5 chip can handle it, but this can't? That doesn't make a bit of sense to me. I really don't get that one. Same thing here. The control center isn't transparent, but it is on the iPad mini. Are you kidding me? I don't know where they came up with the idea to do that. But unlike the iPad 2, which really sucks, this one does have blurring effect for the wallpapers, just like iPad minis. Now, I don't know where they get their idea on what software features can and cannot run on their devices, because the iPad mini can run Siri, but the iPad 2 can't. However, this one does get Siri, which is fine if you find a use for Siri on your iPad. I personally don't pull my iPad out of my laptop case and be like, "Hey Siri, what's the weather like?" Because, I mean, your phone is in your pocket, it's much handier, and it does the same things. But you can use Siri to do things when you're on the internet, like this. Lower my brightness. Which is probably the stupidest feature Siri does, because it's a hell of a lot faster to go like this. And flip your brightness up, because you gotta wait for Siri to do everything. So if you're actually wanting to fix that, download the Google app. It'll save you a lot of time. Now, the first thing that the iPad 3 added from the iPad 2 was actually the little dictation button right there, and that was brand new when the iPad 3 came out. Like, nothing else did that. No other tablet on the market. Well, I think Android tablets could do it, but that was a brand new feature. It was fresh off the iPhone 4S. But they left Siri out, and I still don't know why, because at WWDC of the same year, with iOS 6, they introduced Siri over here, and it popped up in the corner. So, you did have Siri, and then with iOS 7, it now takes up the entire display. The other thing about this iPad that is really good is it was the first iPad, mine is a Wi-Fi only model, but it was the very first iPad to ship with 4G LTE. So your speeds are finally faster, because up till this point you had 3G networks. Well, every other tablet and cell phone except for Apple's was already rocking out on 4G LTE. So this is the first Apple product to run it, followed by the iPhone 5 in September. Now, this iPad is the 32GB model. It holds a lot, and it's a Wi-Fi only product, but it is still a very good iPad. And for the most part, it handles games and applications just as well as the newer models, and that's simply because Apple does a fabulous job with software optimization, except for whatever reason that's not being blurred out, like I said before. Don't get that. Anyway, this iPad initially shipped with iOS 5, and it hasn't really slowed down at all, and we're running iOS 7.0.6 on our iPad here, I believe. I am correct, 7.0.6. Of course, the new iPad here can also be updated to iOS 8 when it drops in the fall to the public. So if you're looking for an iOS device, it's a little cheaper than the new ones on the market. This one's still pretty good. It's got another update coming for it, and it's got a lot of great features. I mean, for whatever reason, they didn't blur this out, but for everything on it works fantastically. You get AirPlay mirroring just like you do on the new ones. It's a little heavier than the iPad Air, but you also have something to grip. Whereas the iPad Air, it's so thin that you really don't have much to hold on to. And the smart cover is a lot better on this one than it is on the iPad Air. It bends in 4 directions, and I'll show you this in the iPad Mini. I'll be doing an iPad Mini review at some point in time. But this one actually folds, and it holds the iPad much sturdier. I feel a lot safer holding the iPad with this one than the iPad Mini one, and I'll show you that in the iPad Mini with Retina display review. Trust me, I have a lot of Apple products. We're just getting started. I have a huge collection of Apple products, and we'll be taking a look at each and every one of them. But right now we're taking a look at this one. As I promised, we'll take a look at the iPhone 5S real soon, so stay tuned and subscribe to this channel for my first looks and impressions of the iPhone 5S.